this, and this is, as the video says, this is going to be a video on two things. I'm going to talk about next at the end, but let's talk about what I want to talk about first. I was actually going to talk about this yesterday, and I got greatly distracted after work, and yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk about it. So I wanted to talk about it because I think it's kind of important, though it is kind of odd that I am the one coming on here talking about this. I would much rather, you know, I'd much rather Bill and Doug, if they ever plan on ever doing a video again, making a video on this, because I think it's important. I think it's important for the TNA fans. So let me come on here and let me be kind of the guy to maybe just bring this up. Since I've been on YouTube, nearly every diehard TNA fan that I've ever gotten into an argument with, that I've ever seen talk about TNA, all of that stuff, have always brought up the point that they wish there would be, particularly after you had that great run of pay-per-views that they had, in which also, you know, they had very high pay-per-view numbers when they were going on that run, that we would get pay-per-views, at least one pay-per-view centered completely around the X Division. It looks to be, we don't know yet, that Destination X might be that pay-per-view. Now, if that is the case, I would hope that every TNA fan that has always bitched that that TNA has lost faith in the X Division, that has not used the X Division properly, has only used it as filler to, you know, this and that, and hasn't really put a lot of emphasis on the X Division, I would hope that they would send a message with their money and buy this pay-per-view. It's odd for me to say that because I'm not, you know, I'm often looked at as, you know, the big TNA hater, and also the fact that I did a video once, and I think it's still up, where I talked about that, you know, the X Division needed to go away and that they needed to actually kill it with fire. Me and Calvin A. Hobbs got into a discussion about it, and the last one I said was, you need to kill it, and you need to kill it with fire. I still kind of believe that. I think that the X Division has a lot of problems with it, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about hopefully bringing to the point to the TNA fans that if you want to do something, you're going to have to probably take it upon yourselves to do it. It looks to be that, well, doesn't it look to be, it's completely true. TNA, current management, hasn't cared about the last three pay-per-views, I would say, doesn't care about the next pay-per-view, Destination X, definitely cares about Lockdown, and cares even more about the Monday night true debut of them, you know, going head-to-head with Raw every week. How do I know this? Because all you gotta do is watch Impact. All you gotta do is know the fact that, think about it. We know when Lockdown is. We know one of the matches the Lockdown is. Lockdown's still 2 months away. We know, you know, where Lockdown is. We know all of that stuff. We know jack shit about Destination X, with the exception that apparently there's going to be an Ultimate X match. That's it. That's really all we know. We don't even know if it's really going to be a pay-per-view centered around the X Division. We think it is. It's been rumored that it is, but we really don't know yet. So that kind of bothers me, because I think that this is something that the TNA diehards have wanted to see for a long time. I know there's even people who are not TNA fans that have wanted to see a pay-per-view like this for a long time. And if there was ever a pay-per-view to kind of send a message and let, you know, the TNA establishment, even the new ones, know that, hey, if you put on a show like this, we will buy it, this would be the show. Because they're not going to, you know, they don't believe it's going to get a buy rate anyways, so why put any money into it? Why put any time into it? We're more worried about the Monday night debut. We're more worried about Lockdown. That's what we're worried about. We're worried about hitting a big number on Lockdown. Now, I'll sit here and tell you, if what is rumored to maybe take place at Lockdown happens at Lockdown, that pay-per-view could do a fairly good buy rate for TNA. I don't know if it will do what Joe and Angle did at Lockdown, but it wouldn't surprise me if it came close because, you know, like I said, we know when it is, we know what's going on there already, we know all this. They built this thing up for 3 months, so it should do a pretty damn good buy rate, I would hope. That said, that leaves us to Destination X. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to talk about Destination X. I'm not going to try to hype Destination X. I'm not, I think that would be me being a bit of a hypocrite, since, I don't really believe in the X division all that much, and, I think it would be kind of sad for the TNA fans if it came down to, especially here on YouTube, if I was the one guy to kind of be like, okay, we're all going to rally behind True Slayer and we're going to, try to get as many people to buy this as possible. I think that's a little odd. I would say, like I said, I would hope Bill and Doug would do a video on this. I don't think they probably will. It doesn't seem like they're too interested in TNA at the moment. But I would hope that somebody somewhere that likes TNA a lot and enjoys TNA more than I do would come on here and would, try to do their damnedest to try to help promote this pay-per-view. I would hope that the TNA fans would spread this just to say, hey, look, this is what we need to do to kind of send a message. Even if this pay-per-view, let me tell you something, this pay-per-view doesn't have to do like 50,000 buys. Doesn't even need to do 40. If it did 35, I think that would be like, oh my God, did you see what this pay-per-view did? And I think they would take notice. If it did 30, I think it would probably take notice. I really don't think they expect to do any more than 20. I think 25 would be okay, but if somehow this pay-per-view could do 30 plus, I think that would send the message that a lot of TNA fans probably feel like it needs to be sent. And I would hope that some of you would, take it upon yourselves to do that. Keep in mind, okay, Big Bang, which is the next ROH pay-per-view, I have not talked about it that much yet. I mean, I'm going to down the road, but I haven't talked about it yet. LV's already done a video about it. Keep in mind that in Charlotte, I already know that there are people who are taking the promotional posters that Ring of Honor has put up on the internet so fans could use and have them set up in storefronts, or passing them out, or actually doing their best to sell this show out, because they are not sell the show out, but they want this to be the most attended Ring of Honor show, period, which would be a pretty big number. I mean, they basically would have to do a better number than honestly, of what a lot of the recent pay-per-views did for TNA outside of Orlando. And I'm not even talking about Bound for Glory. I'm talking about literally, probably 3,500 people. Probably, if it did that, that would be, that'd be a big number for Ring of Honor. And I haven't talked about that yet. But we're still, I mean, that pay-per-view is still a ways away. Destination X isn't. So I would hope that we could see some TNA fans kind of band together, kind of, maybe scour the internet, hit the message boards, hit the internet sites, do all of those types of things to try to send a message with your money, because that's the message to send, not to, not to watch it on a stream, not to download it, do what you can to support what you want to see, because that sends a message. So there is that. That's all I wanted to say. I just kind of wanted to say that. I feel weird me saying that, but I just wanted to come on here and say that, because I did think it's kind of important, given the fact that TNA doesn't seem to give a shit. And I think that there's a lot of fans out there that do, so there's that. Next. Literally next, NXT. The debut was tonight. Did watch it. Wasn't quite sure what we were going to get. I didn't get the message that beforehand that Jericho and Daniel Bryan were going to main event. So I did not know until the show started that that's what we were going to get, even though it had been reported on the net. Watched the show. Loved the opening, and I would actually nickname this show the Bryan Danielson show, or the Daniel Bryan, let's get this guy over show. Oh my God. Walks out with, they gave him time to go out there by himself and try to get himself over there with the fans. Had Miz come out, him and Miz had a little confrontation, then announced that, okay, by the way, him and Chris Jericho are going to main event. And not just that, but I like the fact that, I just bitched about Michael Cole. I don't like Michael Cole. I do like Josh Matthews, though. Even though he can be a little probably too smartish for some people, but that's okay. I don't mind it. But, so I like that dynamic. I can live with Michael Cole if Josh Matthews is with him. And I liked the fact that during the night, every time they talked about Daniel Bryan, you could tell, Cole got a little more heelish. He got a little more about, this guy hasn't done anything. This guy's never been in the WWE. Josh Matthews was like, yes, but he's done just about everything you can imagine outside WWE. This, that, and the other. It was really good, and it built to the storyline that was during the match that the two guys were trying, that Cole and Josh Matthews were trying to sell of Daniel Bryan trying to get respect from The Miz, from everybody else, because he feels he is better than everyone else. He feels like he already belongs in the WWE. He feels like he is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and, this is just basically something he doesn't really need to do because he's better than this. Which I thought played out wonderful. I like the little vignettes they did with all the guys for the most part. They didn't introduce everybody, but they introduced a lot of the guys and let them try to put themselves over in little video packages. The CM Punk and the guy that he was with, I can't remember his name now, the hair guy, that was just awesome. That was just CM Punk's face. He didn't really do anything. All he said was, I don't know why I'm with this guy. I don't know why I'm on this show. And that's pretty much all he said. And then really didn't say anything, really didn't do anything, but just had this look on his face like, why am I here? Why am I being bothered? Which was kind of cool. And then his guy lost, and he was just like, eh. We had, which was, kind of eh. Just overall, I thought the show came off pretty good. There was some little camera angle things I thought weren't good. I thought the main event, the fact that they went to Stryker and Jericho's guy, which I can't remember any of these guys' names, which really doesn't surprise me because there was there was Daniel Bryan, I have to get used to that, who looked different because he looked so vanilla, and you had Punk's guy, who I can't remember his name either. Who had the hair, so he looked different, but everyone else pretty much looked like big jacked up guys that who really cares about. But overall, I thought the show was pretty entertaining, and if it continues to be the Bryan Danielson Miz highlight reel hour, I'm all for that. I think everybody is. So hats off to that. I'll be watching again. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I know not the best review of the show, but I just kind of watched it and was just like I was marking out too much for Bryan Danielson. To be honest, I mean the main event, I was literally like, oh my god, look how they're putting this guy over, and it was like, I remember when Triple H used to do this. He did this once. He had a match much like this with Taka Michinoku on Raw, in which this was when, in my opinion, Triple H was excellent in the ring, went out there and made you believe that, Taka had a chance. Maybe a little chance, but he had a chance to win the title, and that was an awesome match. And this reminded me somewhat of that, even though it was only, it was a great, I think it went 6 minutes. It seemed like it went longer, seemed like it maybe went about 10 minutes. I mean, it was, because there was a lot of action. Danielson took a nasty, nasty bump onto one of the tables, which actually led into the match, and it wasn't even the Walls of Jericho that he got beat. He got beat with the Lion Tamer. I mean, Jericho brought out the Lion Tamer. That was awesome. I mean, everything about this was just, wow. It was like mark out, if you're an internet fan, kind of mark out city. So I like that myself. Like I said, not the best review, I know, but I'll probably learn the guys' names when I actually watch a little closer and actually care about those guys. But anyways, that is it. And like I said, TNA fans, it's time to put up or shut up, in my opinion. So there we go. I'm out.